Welcome to the Bad Roman Podcast. On this show, we talk with veterans, community leaders, Christians and non-Christians as we explore the entanglement of Christians with the state. The Bad Roman Project was created out of the firm belief that as Christians, we are called to follow Christ, not the state. Here is your host, Craig Harguess.
Hey, folks. There are many avenues we can use to get the message of no king but Christ out to other folks, and music is one of my favorites. Ancap Tim comes on the show to talk about his journey to Christian anarchism and how he uses music to express himself.
Let's go. Yeah. Left, right, left, right, left. We got our marching orders, man. Left, right, left, right. We'd rather serve God than serve Caesar, you feel me? Right. I'm just trying to live what he said. I'm just trying to.
Tim, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Good to be here.
Welcome to the Bad Roman Podcast for the very first time. I've had other musicians on the show before, and I love getting musicians on the show to talk about their music. I'm always fascinated with how musicians can express themselves through music. I'm also, and I've said this on the show before, I'm also very jealous of musicians because I tried back in the day to learn how to pick a guitar, pick a banjo, and I can't make it work. I can't make my hands work. So I'm always jealous of a musician who can do that. And y'all make it look so easy. And I can't sing either. I can't carry a tune in a bucket. So I'm just really jealous of you guys. But I love music. My music taste is, I mean, from country music to rap to rock and roll, man, it doesn't matter. If I like it, I'm going to listen to it. But before we get started, what I like to try and do is get some backgrounds from the guests, especially if they're new to the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll get into your journey towards Christian anarchy, because you went, I think you've been a Christian for a while, but you haven't always been an anarchist.
That's true.
Okay. So let's start there. Just give us a little bit of background of yourself and we'll talk about your journey.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I was pretty much raised in the typical evangelical Christian home, saved at an early age, accepted Christ as my savior. Probably very close to the typical like Jerry Falwell type Baptist, even though we were independent Baptists. We weren't those Southern Baptists. We were independent, but raised in that situation. My dad was never really big on politics, especially from the pulpit, which looking back, I really respect that, especially in the time of the moral majority, and the family, focus on the family, all that stuff was really big in the mid to late 90s. And my dad just focused on Christ. And so looking back, I appreciate that. But our churches were generally pretty much Republican, just a group of Republicans that were Christian, so I really became a kind of a diehard Republican, so much so that I had George W. Bush, his picture on my 18th birthday cake. I was so proud that I got to vote for him the second time, as when I was turning 18 in 04. It's embarrassing to say this out loud, but I want you to see how far I've come.
Yeah.
I want you to see the redemption arc to Ancap Tim.
I've heard, your story started out so similar to mine and many other people I've had on the show and people that listen to the show, but I've never heard anybody tell me that they had a president on their birthday cake before. In 5 years of doing this show, I've never heard that before. That is hilarious. And I voted for Bush twice. The first time I ever voted was for the first time around, and then the second time as well. That tickled me a little bit.
No. It's pretty extreme. And so, a lot of that was just my own self. Like I said, we were a Republican family, but was never like pushed that hard. So, I guess when I did something, I go to the extreme. And, but anyway, I was in ROTC a year, and like, I knew I did not like that aspect of a lot of the Republican, like military and, do as you're told. And, everybody wears the same uniform. I knew I did not like that. And so I started to kind of notice a little bit of divide between me and some of my friends, that they were very pro everything the military was doing. And this is after 9/11 and the Iraq War. And, I found myself kind of defending it because my boy Bush is pushing it. I've got to defend my boy. But, I'm developing too. I'm only like 19, 20 at the time. I'm starting to figure myself out and figure the world out. And here comes Ron Paul on the scene. And it's he really opens my eyes. It's one of the debates with him and Giuliani that he basically introduces the idea of, hey, maybe there's such thing called blowback, and that we get what we give, the golden rule. And I was like, wow, I didn't agree with it wholeheartedly, but it opened my eyes enough to where I started looking into these things more. And then so by the time 2012 came along, I was, I had the Ron Paul shirts. I was definitely in the camp of Ron Paul for president. Then got to see how they really screwed him in the primary. And so then that led me down, the whole libertarian, Gary Johnson, that type of movement. And then from there, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, all of this is for naught. I mean, I'm spend all this time and energy and even some money if you want to support these candidates. And for what? What is it doing for society? And Tom Woods, who reluctant, or maybe he didn't do it reluctantly, but I felt bad when he supported Trump. But somebody like Tom Woods said that no matter who you vote for, you get John McCain. You get more war, you get more debt. And so that really rang true with me. That's why it hurt me so bad when he pushed Trump this last time. But these ideas of every 4 years you get the same bullshit. I mean, it's over and over again. You get more war, you get more debt, you get more government, you get more government power, you get more centralized power. And starting to sit back and watch, and even just the short time that I've been able to vote, you're like, wow, like this is a game, this is a joke, and I don't want to play anymore. So that's what's led me to political anarchy. Since then, I began to search more in biblical anarchy as far as to reconcile the two. A lot of your podcast have helped with that. Certain things you've posted on Facebook, whether it be articles and the way people, an alternate view of render unto Caesar, and what was it, Romans 12 or 9?
Romans 13. That's the granddaddy of them.
Oh, 13. Yeah. Yeah, that's the granddaddy.
Yeah.
Submit. These things have really just helped me open my eyes to reconciling the two. Because when you're raised in the type of evangelical church that I've, Baptist church that I've came up in, it's almost like it's heresy to suggest that we don't need a government, because God ordained government, you know what I mean? And it's like, how dare you? And so it took a little time to get there and to get comfortable there. Now, I'm totally sold out for that message of anarchy and no king but Christ. I'm not playing stupid games, because you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I'll focus on the message, the ideology of voluntary exchange, and the message of Christ. And that's good enough for me. I'm not playing politics.
That's how you're going to change the world.
Yeah, it really is. That you change hearts and minds. It's not under the threat of force, and it's not at the point of a gun.
Yeah. It's interesting to me when, like, listening to you tell your story, and it sounds like you kind of took a step back, and just when you started looking into things, it sounded like you started thinking for yourself. Once you do that, you're going to change all kinds of bad thinking you had in the past. So I did the same thing. I had a pretty interesting conversation with a guy at the farmer's market yesterday. I don't know. I made a post about it on Facebook yesterday, but I don't know if you saw it. But he's a Baptist pastor, and he came up to my booth and was asking about the salsa and stuff. And before that, he goes, "What is the bad Roman?" And I'm like, "Well, it's sometimes being a good Christian means being a bad Roman. That's the phrase. That's the slogan, right?" And he was looking at me, and he goes, "Oh, I get it." I said, "Yeah, we're just trying to get people back to how the early church kind of operated how they engaged empire, not just Roman Empire. They just followed Jesus as their king. We don't play with politics. We don't vote. We don't do any of that stuff. We just follow Jesus. We already have a king, the best king in the world."
Yeah.
And Tim, this is a pastor, a Baptist pastor, and he's looking at me, He goes, man, and this is an older guy. I don't know how long he's been, how long he's been a preacher. I don't know. We didn't get into that, but he goes, I have never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
And this guy's got a congregation. So it makes me wonder what I know. I don't want to accuse him of something I've never witnessed myself, but I've spent a lot of time in Baptist churches, and I know how they talk about politics and how they talk about government. And I know how the vast majority of them lean one way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if he does that, but the fact that he never really thought about no king but Christ the way we talk about on the show, it was a cool conversation. I mean, we've swapped numbers, and hopefully I can sit down with him at some point, just have a conversation with him about it, and he can relay that same message back to his congregation, and we can move forward a little bit. You know, that would be cool.
It would be. And people have never really been hit with that truth bomb, so to speak. And it does rattle some people, and hopefully you rattled him in a good way that he's going to look into it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pleasant conversation. He didn't push back at all.
Yeah.
Cause I get into conversations like this a lot out at farmers markets. And sometimes I can tell if they're going to push back, or they're not. If they don't push back, but they don't agree with me, they just don't say anything. Cause I'll go all day with them. The problem is I have to keep the conversations kind of short, cause I've got other people coming up to the booth.
Yeah.
But it's a good opportunity. And I said at the end of this post, if you want to go meet people who have at least a surface level understanding of what we're talking about, a lot of these folks out there do not trust the government. A lot of these shoppers out at farmers markets do not trust the government.
No.
And a lot of them are Christians. Okay. So they've got a surface level understanding of what we talk about on this show. I encourage people to go to farmers markets and talk to these people. If you've got this same mindset of no king but Christ, have the conversation with them out there. They're going to understand it too. They might not get it all that one day, but you're planting a seed, and they're going to go and think about it like I think this Baptist preacher thought about before his service today. I hope.
Exactly.
Hey folks, do you like salsa? I love salsa. I have come up with a fire recipe, and we have been shipping this homemade salsa all across the country. If you like salsa and want a cool way to support the project and spread the message of no king but Christ, then holler at us. You can reach us at badromansalsa@gmail.com or visit the official Bad Roman Salsa Facebook page and message us there. Thank y'all so much for your continued support. Now let's get back to the show.
So tell us a little bit about your music journey. I know you told me in messaging that you used to tour some on the East Coast, or was it West Coast? I can't remember.
East Coast, yeah.
East Coast.
We're God's country, yeah, not the West Coast.
You act like you're from Texas.
No, I'm not that proud of Virginia. Sorry. Virginia's pretty draconian. But no, I did tour with a band. It was a band called Avery Road. A good friend of mine named Jason Burton. He was the songwriter, and I had never really written songs. And we formed up. And before that, I'll just take a step back. I was a music minister at the same church I grew up in for, I don't know, about 10 years. And then we were kind of going to try this Christian band thing together. And we did it about 3.5 years, and traveled, all the way up to Pennsylvania, Ohio, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, just all over that area. And Virginia, of course, West Virginia, Maryland. And there were some good things about it. It's tough going to churches, just getting in there. You almost have to beg for them to have you, so it's a struggle from the start. And then you get in there, and just because you had to beg to come, they're not paying you a certain amount. So you're relying on that love offering. You ever heard of that term? That love offering, and
yeah.
And sometimes there's not much love in that love offering. And you have to dip into your own finances for gas and for a hotel, and it's like, why are we doing this? Like, we weren't trying to get rich, but like sometimes we couldn't even pay the bills. But then sometimes we would have really, really good experiences. And what I learned through that is sometimes the churches that you show up to and you're like, oh, here we go. It looks like a hole in the wall or a storefront, those churches were better to us than the First Baptist Church with 800, 1,000 people. A little church that's like 100 or 50. And so it just starts to get you thinking about the state of Christianity in America.
It's become corporate.
Yes, it really has. And it's almost more of a show than it is about the message of Christ and really showing Christ's love. One of my favorite pastors that we had, it was a female pastor. Some people might not agree with that. And I'm not so sure I necessarily do, but she was one of my favorite pastors. She just showed the love of Jesus every time we were there. She would have us in her house. You'd wake up to the sizzle of bacon being cooked on the stove and the smell. She'd always cook you breakfast in the morning, and just a small little church. And she was one of the most loving, most Christ-like pastors that we experienced, and always took care of us financially, even though they looked like they had much money. So you get to see the facade of Christianity, the ones that look like, oh, y'all got it figured out. And it's like almost the letters in Revelation, where all the ones that thought they were doing good, Jesus told them, you're not doing very good. And the ones who thought they weren't doing good, they were the ones that were doing the best. So, that really opened my eyes. And since then, I've just kind of wanted to start my own singer-songwriter thing and incorporate not solely Christianity, but incorporate voluntary exchange and libertarian principles into that through Ancap Tim, my persona online. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I carried that view of churches for a while too. Like the bigger churches were probably more successful because they're doing the right thing, and it's backwards thinking, because Jesus never taught that.
No,
he taught humility and serving one another. He didn't. So, but I'm not going to blast churches for being big either. I've been to big ones, I've been to small ones, but I think you're right. I think the smaller churches, the ones you wouldn't expect a whole lot from, there's a lot more caring and loving people there for some reason, because they know each other. It's more like a family atmosphere. I think when you got a big church,
right,
nobody knows each other, or they've got their own little cliques inside that church. So
yeah. And the whole purpose of church is to form communities and form relationships, and to have someone that you can call on when you need help.
Yeah.
Not to act like everything's perfect when you just show up to church and, it's just it's just a facade instead of something that's real.
Yeah. And there was times too that I didn't mind going to big church because I didn't want to talk to anybody else anyway. So I just go sit in the very back pew, do my Sunday thing, and go home, go get something to eat and go home, So, I mean, I don't spend a lot of time in churches anymore. I really would love to get involved with like a home church type bill, like they did with the early church. They went to each other's homes,
right,
and fellowship. To me, that's more intimate, and it'd be better said. And you get to know each other a little bit better, make some friends, but to each their own. I'm not going to blast anybody for either one what they want to do. What I get frustrated with Christians is their doctrinal differences, and they start arguing with each other over it.
Yeah,
that's stupid to me. I understand it's been happening since the beginning, but I still think it was stupid then too.
Yeah.
But a lot of the things that we're arguing about today, the early church wouldn't argue with. Like, you could talk, and we're getting off topic a little bit, but it's kind of, we'll get back to your music here in a second. But just take like universal restoration for a minute versus annihilationism or eternal conscious torment. All three views were held with the early church. Eternal conscious torment was very small though.
Yeah.
UR and annihilationism were the two big ones. They didn't fight with each other about it. Like Origen with early church fathers, were the best known universalists. They knew as universalists, but they didn't care. They didn't fight about it. Now we fight about it every day, it seems like, and it's stupid.
I know, the things that don't matter. Most people are not going to call themselves Christians if they don't agree on the fundamentals of the faith, which is, I think boils down to the gospel, the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. If you agree on that, and that is for salvation, to me, it doesn't matter whether you think that you can only receive that gift in this life or in the next. It's still, you're focusing on the cross, you're focusing on Jesus. I do lean towards, I call myself a hopeful universalist. I do lean towards that camp. That's been more recent, a discovery of mine in the last probably, 2 to 3 years. But yeah, you start to dig into people like Origen and some of the early church fathers that you almost think growing up in an evangelical church that's well, my dad was not hellfire and brimstone, but I was around churches that were hellfire and
Right.
brimstone,
Oh, yeah.
You almost think that's the only option there ever was.
Yeah. My mind was blown when I heard about universalism.
Yeah.
Even annihilationism makes more sense to me now than ECT.
Yes.
But I thought it was that everybody believed eternal conscious torment. If you don't do this, then you're going to spend the rest of eternity there. But the more you started digging into what Jesus taught, that doesn't sound like anything Jesus taught.
No, it doesn't.
I'm sorry.
You can't scare people into doing what you want them to do if you don't have that boogeyman of hell.
Well, for sure, and that's exactly right. And on what you were talking about with the lady pastor, my view on that's changed over the years too. I used to be like, well, see, even then, I don't think that I was really understood what they were trying to teach me about that, or it didn't make sense to me. Because I learned a lot about Jesus from my mom and my grandmother. So I didn't really understand it, but I've got a show coming up later on that I did with Matt Mazakis. We talked about women's role in ministry. And he's got a very good understanding of the Greek translation of the Bible. And he smashes all of this stuff that all these beliefs we've had in the past about it. But
yeah,
universal restoration, women in ministry and that stuff, I don't care what a person believes on that.
Exactly.
I'll have a conversation with you about it, but I'm not going to argue with you about it. In the very beginning, I got to where I was debating people on universal restoration, but now I'm like, I don't care if they believe it or not. We're all going to find out one day anyway.
Yes.
Somebody's wrong and somebody's right.
And it won't matter then.
And it won't matter.
No, not at all.
I mean, I don't think teaching or believing in universal restoration is leading people astray. I actually, when you talk to people about it, it makes them more interested to learn more about Jesus to me.
Yeah.
When you talk about the love of Christ, we talk about his grace, how we don't understand his grace. His grace is abounding.
Right.
We're never going to understand that.
Right.
In our small little human minds.
And but it's so amazing to think that Christ will reconcile all. And that all means all. He will fix everything that was broken in the fall. That to me puts more power on the cross than this, eternal torment, because you're always going to have this section over here that is not going to be touched. The power of the cross could not overcome this,
Yeah.
To me, the story of reconciliation is one of the most beautiful stories. It is the most beautiful story, the power of the cross and the power of reconciliation. Yeah.
Reconciling the world to himself. I don't know what the world means to some people or all means to some people, but
Osmos, you want to get into the Greek, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with it, with David Bentley Hart or not.
Yep.
Have you checked out his New Testament translation?
Well, yeah, I was going to grab it over there. I got it right here. Yeah, you got it too. Yep.
But it was pointed out to me in this translation that the word hell doesn't even exist because he translated it from the Greek. The word hell's not even in there.
Yeah.
And that's another rabbit trail or hole, whatever you want to call it. We go down about Bible translations, but we've done all that on the show before. I didn't know you were kind of a hopeful universalist. Maybe I did know that, but I've never argued with you about it, so I never really thought about it. So you said this new album is your first album, right?
Yep. It is Ancap Tim. Yeah.
All of the music is geared more towards like voluntarism, anarchism, and you got the one No King But Christ song on there.
That's right.
When you're writing these songs, when you're putting down words to paper or however you do it, and you're talking about voluntarism or anarchy, are you seeing it align with your view of No King But Christ as well?
Yes.
Okay. Talk about that a little bit, because I think that's interesting, because that's how my mind started changing on anarchy when I started studying the philosophy and reading the Bible, and it all just meshed together for me.
Right. Well, I think one of the biggest things that opened my eyes to it is when Satan is tempting Christ and he offers him the kingdoms of this world. Not once does Jesus say, you don't have those to give. He doesn't question the authority there. And so what does that tell us? And Paul tells us later on in some of his letters that the ruler of this world is Satan. So that tells us that all of the governments, all of the system that rules this world is therefore under his control. And so if you're going to truly follow Christ, I don't see how you do it and not be a bad Roman, as you put it. So I love that. Like, we sing the songs, the old hymns, this world's not my home, I'm only passing through. But yet we act like that this kingdoms and all the kingdoms of this world is where our allegiance to go to. You know, we may say that Jesus is first and Christ is first, but there's always that close second is God and, his country. You got God, then you got country. Instead of why can't our allegiance be totally to Christ, who's actually going to fix all of the problems in this broken world? Government has never fixed one thing. All they do is take and steal for people with the promise of they're going to fix it. And you go to the 10 Commandments. How come it's okay that government can be founded on theft, but yet we still say that the 10 Commandments, and one of them being thou shalt not steal? How can we support a system that violates a basic morality standard there in the Old Testament? And same thing with thou shalt not kill. We shouldn't kill people, but collectively, when a government is formed and authority is given to this magical force with their magic flag and magic song, they can go and kill people with immunity. And that's war. That's not murder. That's war. What's the difference? I think we've stopped looking at it like children. And I mean that in a good way. Just break down morality in a simple way that even a child can understand. A child knows you don't steal from people and you don't hurt them. But it's okay if we have the authority of the state behind us. And if we have a badge, then it means that we can hurt people and we can take their stuff. These ideas just don't reconcile with Christianity.
You're preaching to the choir right now, too, because I remember somebody asking me, what is my favorite scripture to go to in view of your Christian anarchy? What is your favorite one? I said, and I always go back to the temptation of Christ.
Right.
You were spot on when you said Jesus never said, no, you don't have authority over the kingdoms of this world. He never said that. So that should tell every Christian when they read that the devil, that Satan himself, is backing, Satan and his demons are backing the kingdoms of this world. That includes your precious United States government.
Yeah.
Maybe the most evil empire ever. Okay, if you think about the amount of people they've killed, like you said in the 10 Commandments, why are they immune?
Yeah. Because
they're the government. No, if they're Christians and they're doing this, they're disobeying the teachings of Jesus. To me, it's so cut and dry, but these conversations are still coming up all the time, and it's usually during election time, and it's maddening to me. When you pointed to, thou shalt not steal. Why is it okay for the government to steal from me? I think we got to get to a point where we're explaining to them that taxation literally is theft. We just did an episode with Patrick Carroll, and he said he had a great tweet, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, I'm not saying that it is theft. He said, I'm saying it's absolutely theft.
Yes.
There's no way around it. It's absolutely theft. And I think Christians, if they know this though, man. I'm telling you, I've had the conversations with them, but they still go 2 to 4 years and vote for these same maniacs and put them back in power.
Yeah, or they'll say, well, but you have to. It is theft. But how could the government exist if you didn't fund it? I'm like, well,
that's the point.
Yeah, that's the point. And I've got a song that sums this up. Good ideas don't require force. You may think that government does some good. Okay, everybody always loves roads. I like driving on roads too, but it's usually private companies that maintain them and make them anyway. But why can't that be voluntarily funded? If ideas are so good for society to have, we just have to have them, then they'll be voluntarily funded.
Right.
If you got to stick a gun to someone's head to make your plan come to life, then it's not a good idea because you have to use force and able to enact it.
Yeah.
Good ideas will be voluntarily funded. And I mean, again, kids know this.
Yeah.
You don't just come up with some idea. Hey, I want to play this game. Kids, my 5-year-old, I have a 5-year-old and 11-year-old, and she comes up with games and usually they don't make no sense because it's a 5-year-old coming up with the game, you know, and the 11-year-old's like, that is so stupid, you know. But a lot of times she'll play with her anyway. But if the 11-year-old says, no, I don't want to play that, you know, she gets over it and moves on. She doesn't go get a bat from the other room and say, you're going to play this game with me because it's a good idea. Because they know that good ideas don't require force. A 5-year-old knows this, but yet when we grow up through public school, I guess we lose that rational thinking.
It is interesting to me, and it's strange also, but I think about that often. What happened to us along the way? Because you can hear a child say something. My niece, who is going through a horrible thing right now with cancer, will still say something, do some of the most beautiful things to help other patients in the hospital and stuff. And what happens along the way when we lose that?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? You mentioned public schools. I think that's part of it, but it's got to be the church too.
Sadly, yes, I think that is the case. Yeah,
because if the churches are teaching this thing that taxation is theft, the government's stealing from you, the government is murdering, that should encourage every Christian to stay away from a voting booth.
No, but they're not. They're teaching, let's cheer on the war machine. Every time there's a war, if you don't support the military, then you're not a real Christian. Almost, they won't say that, but some would. Or in the especially dispensationalist churches, you've got to support the nation state of Israel, or God's not going to bless you. What? Like, so yeah, it's definitely taught from pulpits. Yeah, this idea of statism. I mean, it sadly so.
I've heard it over and over in churches, and I don't know that I'd ever set foot in another Baptist church and maybe it's because I'm jaded or jilted. I don't know, because of everything I know now and everything I was taught in those churches was completely contrary to what I know Jesus to be saying.
Yeah.
You know,
we worship the Prince of Peace here, but if you don't support the Iraq War, then you don't support the troops, and then therefore you're a bad person. Or if you don't support the nation state of Israel and their war in Gaza, then you're not going to be blessed by God. And it's like, do we worship the Prince of Peace or do we worship empire?
Right.
You know, I don't want to be a good Roman. I want to be a bad Roman.
100%, you know, and I don't know what it's going to look like for some of these folks on Judgment Day. I still believe there's going to be a Judgment Day and we're all going to be judged for our lives. I do believe that, but I also believe in universal restoration like we were talking about a while ago. But the fact that they're defending what Israel's doing in Gaza and not seeing it as genocide and mass murder and still defend it because it's the Israel. I mean, I've had this conversation a lot with those Dispy type folks that they'll point out Israel in the Bible. I was like, that's not talking about a nation state, man. That's a people.
Yeah.
It's people. And that includes Palestinians. There's Christian Palestinians that are being murdered over there by Israel, and you're defending it.
Yeah.
It's maddening to me, man. It drives me absolutely bonkers.
And that's one of the reasons why I wrote No King But Christ. Yes, from an anarchy standpoint, but also the hashtag got big on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And it was in response to all these dispensationalists saying that we're duty bound through Scripture to support Israel, the nation state of Israel. And people that were opposed to that idea started using the hashtag No King But Christ. I'm not going to support the nation state of Israel. I'm going to support Christ, and they're in disbelief, even if you want to look at them as a people and not a nation. Judaism, whatnot. And so I'd keep seeing that hashtag, and then it got explained by Ben Shapiro and different ones how that was anti-Semitic to use the term "No King But Christ," and I was like, "Whoa, this is lighting a fire under my butt." And so that's what really pushed me to write that song. I definitely wanted to, and it's very anti-state if you listen to the words, but I wanted to have a song that people could play along with the hashtag to say, no king but Christ. And this is not anti-Semitic. This is just truth. And I'm not going to stop screaming that Christ is king.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. That's encouraging to hear. You know, that's the anti-Semitic. I don't know how many times I've been called that. If you go to our Facebook page and I bring up anything on the Facebook page about Gaza and what's happening over there, I'm called anti-Semitic. I hate Jews. And none of that's true. None of that's true. But you can't, that's where we're at in this world today. You can't stand up for something. You can't stand up for the truth without being accused of being something like, or being anti-Semitic, or I got called satanic the other day, man. You know, and it doesn't, I don't engage the comments that much on the page because I don't, like I said earlier, I don't care. I'm going to continue to post what I'm saying. Now, if you want to have an honest conversation, I'm down. Let's go. I'll have it. If you want to have a back and forth, we can talk about it, try to hash some of this stuff out. But if you're there to just throw daggers at me, I got better things to do. I'm a busy guy, you know, so I don't have time to spend all day on social media arguing with somebody I don't even know. It's not making sense. If you want to come to Memphis, we'll hang out. We can have some coffee and we'll talk about it.
There you go. And probably would agree on more face to face. And that's the thing with social media, man.
Yes.
It's so easy to be an asshole on social media. You
Yeah.
know, where if you were looking at somebody in the eyes, you wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, I've said that often too. These people would never say that to me in my face. They might, but they're going to have a conversation with me. And you're not going to be able to type something, go away for a couple hours and come back and type something again. We're going to sit down and talk about this.
Right.
You know, and maybe I'll learn something too. Maybe I'm missing something somewhere along the way as well, but I'm always down to learn something new. But I like that you brought up that song, No King But Christ, because I noticed on your album, you've got a side A and a side B. Side A's got 6 songs, side B's got 5 songs, and you ended the album with No King But Christ. Was that intentional? Because like you talk about in these songs leading up to it, it's all anti-state, voluntary, stuff. And then you end it with No King But Christ. Was that intentional?
Very intentional. Yeah. I wanted to make sure that I ended my argument of free markets, voluntary exchange, good ideas don't require force. The state's just a mafia. I wanted to end that with the ultimate hope for humanity is Christ. So yeah, they're very intentional.
That's cool. I noticed that when I was going through it last night. And I love the title of the album because I call the state the mafia all the time. The title of the album, The State's Just a Mafia. And I loved it because, and I've said this before, you remember when the government was going after the mob?
Yeah.
And when I look at something like that now, the only thing that I see is the government trying to eliminate their competition.
Exactly what it is. They hate competition.
Yeah. So then, but it's true. And if you look at some of the stuff that the mob did, I'm not defending them, but they did a lot more good than the government's going to do.
Well, and that's what some people's arguments, or not really arguments, but you've always got that one person to say stuff that like, well, I didn't really ask that. Like, so I'll post the song and, the state's just a mafia. It's called State of Affairs, but that's the chorus. The state's just a mafia. And they're like, well, the mafia actually did some good. I'm like, okay, yes, they did. But that's not the point of the song. They also were a criminal organization that they took protection money, just like our own government. You have to pay them money or they'll come and beat you up. So you're paying protection money so they don't come and beat you up.
Yeah.
But very similar to the United States of America. Yeah.
Yeah. When you can look at the government for what it is, I don't know how it's not so glaringly obvious. I understand people. I'm trying to say this without sounding like a complete jerk. All right. I always knew that there were people around us that were not very bright, that were stupid. I'm just going to say it. I did not realize how many there were until 2020 hit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm without saying the word because we're having trouble with YouTube right now. But anyway, when 2020 hit, it exposed all the stupid people that we're surrounded by, which explains why so many people still go vote.
Yeah.
I don't think your average person, if they've got any sense about themselves, is looking and saying, man, I'm going to just stick this out and see if it changes. A lot more people are walking away from it these days. In this last election, there were more non-voters. They kept calling it a Trump landslide. There were more non-voters than actual people who voted for Trump. That's encouraging to me.
Yeah, that's encouraging. I actually was a little disappointed to see Trump win just because I thought a Harris presidency might bring those on the right that were close to libertarianism and maybe, then they would start the slide to anarchy. I thought it would drive them there, where a Trump presidency would bring them back. See, there's hope now. There's hope. The state can do some good. We're seeing it right here. We're back. You've seen that We're back.
Well, if you look at everything that's going on right now, he's losing a lot of support from his base.
He is.
And I'm actually loving it because they are flailing right now.
Yeah, that was going to be I was proven wrong in that. I actually think it's been better that Trump won because now people with their own guy in there, they're having to be a little bit more honest about, the Epstein thing and everything. And it's like, they're seeing that, yeah, this is a joke. This is a pedophile ring that we're paying taxes to. And so I didn't expect that.
Well, I think he honestly thought people were going to let it slide, that he thought it would just go away, and it's not. It's still building steam. Didn't they just shut down Congress or leave or something for their break without doing anything about the Epstein thing? Because they're figuring it's going to cool down. It's not. People are pissed off about it, and rightfully so. Yeah. The face of the January 6th, the guy with the horns, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. On his head. I saw something the other day. He went on a tirade cussing Trump out because he's losing his people. But again, he doesn't have to run for re-election. Right. And it makes him more dangerous. It does. In my opinion. I said that when he got elected. I said, this is going to be worse than his first 4 years. Mm-hmm. Watch. And 6 months in, we're in bombing people, the anti-war president. I was proven right. And it's not just me, but the whole idea of it, no matter who you vote for, you get more war and debt. Within 6 months of his presidency, that was proven right. I mean, you got the big, beautiful bill, more debt and more war right off the bat. I thought maybe he started promising with Ukraine, but then, we're bombing Iran and now we're shipping more weapons and more money to Ukraine than ever. So it's like, you get the same thing no matter who you vote for. Didn't he say the other day we were fully prepared to go to nuclear war? Yes. With Russia. I was like, what are you, this guy's a maniac. I think he's crazy. Oh, but he's the most pro-peace president we've ever had, man. Mm-hmm. He bombed more people. They drone bombed more than Obama did in 8 years. And Obama, man, set the bar high. Yeah, because he outbombed Bush. Yeah. And Trump outbombed him in 4 years. Biden did it for 4 years. It's just like you said, you get the same thing over and over, no matter who you vote for. I'm a big wrestling fan, and it really is. There's a term in wrestling that's called kayfabe, and that means you're keeping the persona of the show going. Like if I'm the bad guy, I'm the heel. If I'm out in public, I got to keep that persona going that I'm the bad guy. You know what I mean? If I'm the baby face, I'm the good guy. And so that's what I just describe American politics as. It's wrestling. It's pro wrestling. It's kayfabe. If you're left wing, you're going to see your guy's the baby face and Trump's going to be the heel. If you're right wing, it's going to be the exact opposite. But they're all on the same team. It's a big club, and we ain't it. 100%.
Hey, folks. We have set up a very simple way to donate to the Bad Roman Project through spotfund.com. Just go to SpotFund and search No King But Christ. This has become necessary to continue to provide a quality podcast and keep production costs down as well. Just $5 or $10 a month will go a long way in helping us keep this project going and continue spreading the very basic message of No King But Christ. So if you like what we were doing and can find it within your budget, go to spotfund.com and search No King But Christ, and you can set up monthly donations or even donate one time. Any and all donations help more than you know, and as always, any donations above production costs will go directly to charities in Memphis, Tennessee. Thank y'all so much. Now back to the show.
I want to talk to you about one more thing before I let you go. The album cover is dope, by the way. I love this because it's a picture of you, a cartoon Ancap Tim, singing like lyrics, and you're looks like you're screaming lyrics at what is a dragon or a snake with some change. The Leviathan, the federal government, or government in a nutshell, I guess is what it is. It is a cool album cover. And did you notice the hand at the top has 6 fingers? I tried to kind of throw a little bit of Epstein esque into the, he had the pain of Clinton with the 6 fingers. Oh, no, I didn't notice that. Yeah. And Bush too, when he's got the plane, he's throwing it into the tower, Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't even notice that part. I just noticed you screaming at a dragon. Did you design that yourself or? Yeah, I had the idea. I got ChatGPT to make me one. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
but it wasn't like, it didn't look like where I'd want to put it on an album. It might have been something that I'd post. And so then I sent it. I use a lot of people on services on Fiverr, so I got somebody to kind of redraw it. And that's what it came out to be.
Well, it's very cool looking. I wonder if it'd be attention grabbing for somebody that's not necessarily in line with the way we view things. And then they see it and kind of look, because like at the bottom it says tax and IRS and chains and all that stuff. If grab their attention, it's certainly going to grab somebody like me, somebody like me's attention, because I understand what's going on here when I see that.
The idea was actually the guy I sang with in the Christian band, Avery Road. He said, this is what I asked him, because we worked on albums and stuff before. And he's like, this is what I'm envisioning. Like you yelling at the Leviathan, the monster, which is the government, And I was like, that's kind of cool. So I kind of put that. That's where I started with that prompt in the Chat GPT, and it got me close. And I think it had more of a Tower of Babel look, which was cool, but it looked, like AI stuff can just this not be right. You know what I mean? It's proportions and all from, and so I got somebody to kind of fix it up a little bit better, and but took that design, and so. I'm not one that's scared to use a little bit of AI. I do want to point out, because I've put my stuff out there before, and I've seen a comment on Instagram. Well, that's just AI. And I'm like, no, actually it's not. It's me singing all the parts, playing 90% of the music. Only thing I don't play is the drums and the solo guitar. Solo guitar is a good friend of mine. So yeah, it's homegrown organic music. But I have used chat to be like, hey, what could I rhyme here with this, what I have here, or suggestions to make this verse better. So I'm not anti using tools that are there. But I do think that as an artist, I think you should actually be the artist. Some of these people put stuff out that they don't even sing, and it's all AI. And I'm like, isn't that, I guess that's okay, but it bugs me. But I just wanted to make that clear that it's all me on the album.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've got a little like promotional video for the salsa. I don't know if you've seen it. My producer put it together, but she used AI to do some of this with the music and stuff, and it sounds cool to me.
Exactly, it's great. These are tools, and I think they should be used.
Yeah,
I'm not scared of them.
You're not afraid that the Terminator's coming back to, we're going to see that, like the Terminator, maybe?
I don't know if Chat GPT is going to turn into Skynet, but it could.
Maybe it'll be after we're dead. Maybe it can hold off. I don't know. It seems to be moving pretty quick, though.
Yeah, it does.
But I mean, we got Donald Trump as president. How could AI be any worse as president?
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Well, before I let you go, this has been fun, man. I'd like to talk to you again. We didn't talk all about your music, but I love the conversation because I like to know people a little bit better on the show as well. And it's just, again, a fresh perspective on the way they see things. A lot of what you said, people agree with. You're going to say some things that they had never thought about before, too. And I like that. So before I let you go, why don't you go ahead and tell people where they can find you and your stuff?
All of my stuff is on streaming. The big ones are Apple Music, Spotify, of course, Amazon Music, YouTube Music. So if you just go to your favorite streaming, you can type in Ancap Tim, it'll come up now. I do have a link tree. You can find me on any of the socials. I'm on Facebook and TikTok mainly. I do have an Instagram, and I have a Twitter page that has so if you're on Twitter or X, give me a like, because I need it. I think I got banned so much during COVID that it gets no attention. But on all the socials, and if you want to buy physical media, I know some people in our circles like to actually own a physical copy of music. I do have CDs and vinyl, and they're available at elasticstage.com. You could just Google Elastic Stage, Ancap Tim, and the link will come up. And so you can buy vinyl and CDs there.
Well, that's cool, man. We'll have all that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
So people can click on it there and easy access after listening to the conversation. It's good to finally get to talk to you, in person. Or I say in person on a computer screen, but instead of just online talking and, social media. This is cool, getting to know you a little bit better.
Yeah. Like I said, we've known each other for a while on the interwebs.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to talk to you, and I actually hear your voice, and I appreciate your friendship over the years, even when I didn't want anything from you, like coming on your show. You always engage, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you answering when I did want something from you.
Yeah. No, I was excited to get you on. I mean, it's more content for the show, and it's good content for the show, and I like talking to musicians because I'm jealous of y'all. Maybe y'all can rub off on me at some point. And
well, you mentioned starting with a banjo. That was probably not wise. That is a very hard instrument to play, is a banjo.
Well, I had a little, I can't remember what it was. I had a little instruction book, and the first song to learn was pretty short. I got it. I was slow at it.
Yeah.
And then the next song was a lot longer, and I gave up. Then the banjo started collecting dust.
Yep.
So, but I love the banjo. It might be my favorite instrument. When out of the farmer's market last night, they had some bluegrass music playing, and I'm a big fan of bluegrass. It was cool. I was going to ask you one more thing. How would you describe your music to people who haven't heard it before?
Hopefully it's a good mix. At least that was the goal. Some people like to really be in a pigeonhole, and it's like, because people ask me, what style is it? Like, I've listened to it, and it's like kind of all over the map. I'm like, well, good. That's what I'm going for. I'm hoping that maybe this song will be the style that somebody likes, and this style or this song will be some other style. But if you had to put a label on it, I would say kind of a hodgepodge of folk into a little bit of country into maybe alt rock.
Okay.
Kind of all in between. You got the protest songs, the folk stuff, and even the indie rock. Kind of just a hodgepodge of all those things. In the liberty movement, there's a whole lot of heavy music that's anti-state, and so I kind of wanted to give an option that wasn't like heavy or rap. Number one, because I can't do it. Number two, I think it's a little bit of a void.
Yeah, for sure. I've never really cared for heavy metal, but I've noticed that too in these circles. A lot of people do listen to it.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans on another album or anytime soon, or are you gonna?
Yeah, possibly. I've got some more ideas in my head. So yeah, I would like to.
Well, let me know, and we'll get you back on and talk about that one as well.
Definitely.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Bad Roman Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you find your podcasts to never miss an episode. And while you're at it, if you like what you heard, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, it really helps people find us. 100% of donations are given to local charities in Memphis, Tennessee. To learn more about the Bad Roman Project and to find show notes, please visit thebadroman.com.